Hey YouTube, me again. Sorry I kind of look like a bag of smashed poop, but I kind of have like a cold, sinus sick going on right now. So, not feeling all that great. Been feeling like poop all weekend. And I have a burlesque show to do on Tuesday, so I've been trying to kind of get myself better, but I have to go to work tomorrow, so I'll just get sick again. Anyway, today, since one of my most popular videos is the first one I ever uploaded, which is about long-term relationships and dealing with deployment. And as the months have gone by, I noticed that increasing in popularity, and I was like, alright, let me make another military spouse video. So, this is me putting my military spouse hat on, and we're going to talk about OPSEC. Now, what is OPSEC? OPSEC stands for Operational Security, and it basically means keeping your troops safe while they're stationed or deployed overseas, and keeping them safe in general from enemies of the country, which there are a lot right now. A lot of people are not very happy with how the United States operates, and some of them would be willing to do some pretty crazy things to make sure that the U.S. gets knocked down a few pegs. Including, some of the things I'm going to talk about here. There's a whole list of rules about operational security and things that you should do to keep your service members safe. There's all kinds of resources about it. The Army has a whole pamphlet related to it. There's training classes. There's links. I'm going to put some articles in the description if you want to read more about it. But in this video in particular, since it would be hours long if I talked about the whole span of different things that you should be doing, I'm just going to talk about a few things that I see a few OPSEC rules that I see getting broken all the time. 3 in particular, 3 subject matters that I see talked about that really shouldn't be talked about when it comes to operational security. Number 1, rank. While your service member is deployed, if you send him mail, letters, care packages, awesome. That's a great way to keep his morale up, great way to keep him going, but do not put his rank on the front of the envelope or on the front of the box. It is a serious security threat because there are people who, again, hate the United States, both in the U.S. and abroad, who will go to the lengths of searching through people's mail and, for searching for any kind of usable information. A rank is a very usable piece of information. So is their job, their main job description. They're all usable pieces of information because then you know how far up that particular person is on the chain, the kind of pull that they have with their particular job and what their job is. So, when you put your service member's rank on the front of your envelope, that's telling that particular person who's looking through the mail, oh, this guy's a sergeant, he's got a pretty, middle-ranked post. If I eliminate him, I kill the morale of those under him, and I shatter the, I shake the foundations of those above him. So, rank is bad. Don't put rank on envelopes or on boxes. It's not necessary. Just the name is fine. And they even end up shredding that too, I think. But yes, ranks are bad. Don't do that. Number 2, locations. Now this, especially in social media has posed a big problem for operations security because people seem to think that everything they post on Facebook is perfectly safe and that, when they set it to private, no one can see it, and that's not true. I get it that people are either anxious for their deployments or anxious for their next duty station or whatever, they want to tell the world, but don't tell anyone where your spouse is getting deployed to. There's a reason that they tell you what to say when people ask that. For example, when people ask me where my spouse is deployed to, I'm supposed to say Southwest Asia. Now, people who are within the United States military will usually understand that, but it's a very broad term for a reason, because we don't want the enemy to know where our troops are being stationed, because that just, like, that gives them a one-way ticket to, bomb a base or something. So, locations are a big deal. Don't post your deployment location on Facebook. Don't check in at a forward operating base. Just don't. There's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. Keep it inside your head and don't release it to the world. Sorry. And that's also why on the letters and packages, the mailing address for your service member doesn't have a country. It doesn't have a, zip code or whatever. It doesn't have your typical things that you would see on an address. It's all letters and numbers that may not make any sense to you. And that's the idea. They're not going to make any sense to someone rummaging through the mail either. And they're not going to give information that people don't need to know to people who really shouldn't know it. So, there's that. Number 3, and this is the big one, is dates. Dates, dates, dates. Now, I look around and I see, I go to these military spouses' Facebook pages. It's like, oh, my husband's coming home in 28 days. My husband's coming home in 11 days. Blah, 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 blah. And I get it. You're excited. I get that. I'm excited too. I'm anxious for my husband to come home. But I'm not going to be posting a countdown of it on Facebook. I'm not going to be posting the exact day. Even when the bosses at my job, I work on a military base, and the bosses at my job have asked me when my husband's coming home, and I'm like, even if I knew the exact day, which I don't, I can't tell you. Because, who knows who's watching where. The whole deal with Operation Security is they operate under a safe amount of paranoia. Like, someone's always watching you all the time, and you never know who could be watching or who could be listening. So, especially on Facebook. I mean, it is so easy to pick up information on Facebook. So it's very, very important that you don't post those kinds of things. I mean, I guess if it's in CONUS, it should be okay, but even then, just avoid it, because there are people in the United States who hate the United States and who would be willing to do some pretty crazy stuff. So, when I see those countdowns, it just really, it irks me, because I'm like, I get it, you're excited, but you're putting your service member in danger right now, because now whoever is spying on all of these Facebook pages knows your spouse's name, knows your spouse's rank, knows where they are, and knows when they're going to be in transit. So, they know when they're going to get to their deployment station or when they're going to get back from their deployment station, which is a very dangerous piece of information, because now, if you've broken all 3 of these rules, that particular, enemy individual now knows who your husband is, where your husband is, and when your husband is going to be there. So, it's very important to keep particularly those 3 things under wraps, under lock and key. If someone, I know I've run into a lot of problems with this, where people, in my husband's family, I've thought about it and I'm like, oh man, my husband's parents are really going to want to know when he's coming home. But it's dangerous to tell anybody, because phone lines could be tapped, internet, anything on the internet can be traced. There's a paper trail. So you just have to rest with the thought that your service member has the information under control. He's going to tell who needs to know, and he's not going to tell anyone who doesn't need to know, and neither should you. I mean, personally, when it comes to homecoming, I'd almost rather pick him up there myself, alone, and then surprise his family. Hey, that's great. That way you keep his location secure and until he gets on American soil, and everyone else gets a nice surprise. So, there are different ways that different people go about it, and I'm just concerned with keeping everybody safe, because the last thing we want is, you know, a tragedy that could have been prevented. So now it's your turn. Have you ever had to deal with something like Operation Security? How do you deal with the people around you who are constantly, and I mean constantly, asking, oh, where's your husband deployed? Oh, when's he coming home? Is he coming home soon? I bet you're excited. And you know, you want to tell them whatever, but you can't. And how do you deal with that? How do you deal with people constantly prying into information that really shouldn't be shared with anyone? So feel free to leave a comment or video response in the boxes below. I promise I will read and watch all of them. I'm going to be posting a lot more military spouse related stuff, because that seems to be the kind of thing you guys like, as well as long distance relationship related stuff. Don't forget to check out my friend Crystal's YouTube channel, because I actually made a best friend tag video with her that is really funny. I think you guys will like it. So yeah, I'm gonna go watch TV for a while and get some shut-eye, and I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. And to all my families and spouses out there who are dealing with a deployment or dealing with a separation, stay strong. Remember, you guys keep them fighting. You guys have a good night. I'll see you next time. Wah!